Good day, my name is Richard and a warm welcome to Tutoring with Richard, where we cover the South African school syllabus and native topics. Today we're going to cover Mathematics in 6. The topic of this tutorial is volumes. Let's get straight into it. Okay, the first thing we need to understand is that volumes has a different set of formulas. The formula goes the integral of BA, pi on the outside, then it's either x or y, so it's y1 minus y2, each one is squared, dx. So you would change this to go pi, the integral of BA, x1 squared minus x2 squared dy. But pi is always a constant. So, what our first sum looks like, it looks like this. Y is equal to 3x plus 1. Now our limits are given to us. The x-axis, x equals 6, and this is rotated about the x-axis. So, because of that, we have the x-axis and x, so we're using dx. So y is equal to. So we're using pi integral BA y1 squared dx. Okay. Now this is 3x plus 1. So this is pi, the integral of 6 and 0, 3x plus 1 squared dx. Okay, now what we have to do is expand. So what we're going to do is FOIL. So 3x plus 1 times 3x plus 1. So 3x and 3x is 9x squared. 3x plus 1 is plus 3x. Plus 1 is plus 3x. And 1 times 1 is plus 1. Okay, so we've got 9x squared plus 6x plus 1. So, our formula goes 6 and 0 goes 9x squared plus 6x plus 1 dx. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to integrate. Now all of these will have an integrate sign in front of them, and then all we have to do is minus the one from the other. So this is 9x2 minus plus 1 over 2 plus 1 plus 6 1 plus 1 over 1 plus 1 plus 1x 0 plus 1 over 0 plus 1. Okay. Pi 6 and 0. So, what we're doing next is 2 plus 1 is 3. So, 9 over 3 is 3. So it's 3x cubed plus 6 over 2 is 3. 3x squared plus x. Pi 6 and 0. Okay, now all we have to do is just put in 6 where there's x and 0 where there's x. So 3 times 6 cubed plus 3 6 squared plus 6 pi plus, minus 3 times 0 cubed plus 3 times 0 squared plus 0. Okay, so only the first answer matters because all of this will equal up to 0. So 3 times 6 cubed plus 3 times 6 squared plus 6. And it's pi times 7, 6, 2. And all that means, in a very simple language, all that means is that we put pi in, so it's 7, 6, 2 pi. And that's our final answer. Units cubed. Always use cube units for area. For volume. Area is squared, volume is cubed. Because, I'll explain why, because area uses 2 dimensions. Here's your length and your breadth. Right. So an area uses 2 dimensions. However, this uses 3 dimensions. It uses 3 dimensions. One here, one up, one here, one there, and one here. So, one across, one up, and one across. That's how volume works. Because with volume, you want to see how much you can put inside it. Area means how much space it covers. So that's why they differ. An area uses 2 units of measure, 2 units of space, whereas volume uses 3 units of space. Okay, the next one is y. is sine 2x. This is x equals 0 and x equals pi over 2. So, for example, here is pi, and there is pi over 2. Okay, so what you're seeing here is that is pi over 2, and that is pi. So pi is at the end of the graph, pi over 2 is at the middle of the graph. Okay, the reason it is like this is because of the 2x. If there was no 2, this would be a full graph. And I would say 90 is here, and 180 is here, 270 is over here, and 2 pi is over here, which is 360. So all of that would be calculated like that. But because of the 2 pi, it is actually squeezed. It's actually squeezed together. So you've got less of a graph. Okay, so the next point is that we can do we're doing half the volume of the graph. So how we're going to do this is pi, the integral of pi over 2, which is 90, and 0. So sine 2x dx, sine 2x squared. That's sine 2x squared. So what we need to do here, now the integral of this particular thing, of sine 2x, it's a half, so this will still be pi minus a half cos 4x. Now we can integrate. Now we're going to integrate. Because that is an identity. This is an identity. Now we can integrate this identity. Because sine squared cannot be integrated. It has to go through an identity. So this will be a half, which is now pi, let's do a bracket, a half x minus, now this will be a bit tricky, a half, cos will be sine, so sine 4x over 4. Pi over 2 and 0. So, half x minus 1/8 sine 4x okay. So now we've got our limits, pi over 2 and 0. Now we've integrated. Now what we are left with, now what we can do is, because it's 0 and 0 times anything will be 0, especially sine. Whenever there's a 0 associated with sine, you know that that number is going to be 0. So 0 times 1/8 is 0, 0 times a half is 0, and 0 times pi is 0. So it'll be 0. So we only have to do the pi over 2. So let's do that. The pi over 2. Pi times a half pi over 2 minus 1/8 sine 4 to the pi over 2, yeah, in a bracket. Now, what we have is pi over 4 minus 1/8. Now, 4 sine 4 pi over 2. So 4 pi over 2 is 2 pi. 2 pi is 360. Sine 360 is 0. So because it's 0, 1 times 8 is 0. 1 over 8 is 0. So it is times 0. So we are left with pi over 4 times pi. Left with pi over 4 times pi. And that makes it pi squared over 4 units cubed. And this is all how to basically solve anything you are given with regards to this. So, all you need really is your formula and to understand how to use the formula. Okay? The formula will normally consist. Now, if they say, do it about the x-axis, you take the values of x and make it dx. So that is y1 minus y2. And square both terms. So square both whole formulas. Not just one formula, square them both. Square both squared formulas. Okay? If it's a different, if it's 2, because you'll only ever get 2 volumes, but it's normally just one. It's normally just one thing that they want a volume of. But it's pi BA x1 squared minus x2 squared bracket dy. These are your basic formulas that you will follow. Whenever you do this, these are the formulas you will use. Okay. Now, denoting these formulas, whenever you are dealing about, this is the x-axis. X-axis. This is the x-axis. And this is the y-axis. This is the y-axis. Okay? This is the y-axis. This is the x-axis. So, when you're dealing with y, you will deal with x values. When you're dealing with y, when you're dealing with x, you'll deal with y values. So sometimes you'll get a formula that says x is equal to 4y plus 1. You'll get something like that, and then you'll use this formula here, because then you will integrate with regard to y. But normally, we integrate, they would always say normally take it about the x-axis of the tests, most of the time. so that you do not change your way of thinking. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a like and subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm and to grow the channel. Positive feedback is most welcome. I enjoy reading your comments. Please use the comments section to let me know what topics you'd like me to cover in upcoming videos. Be at peace, be kind to each other, and remember, passing well is achievable. Have a great day. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.